almost invite their opponents inside to set up that knockout. That's why I feel this is an intriguing and an exciting matchup, because I don't think we're going to see too many backward steps. It's going to come down to ferocity. It's going to come down to grit. It's going to come down to determination. I think both men will be tested. I think this is a great matchup for both guys. They should bring the best out of each other. When I think about my own prediction, it's so hard to bet against the younger fighter. We know combat sports, I say it all the time, is a younger man's sport. I'm a fan of both guys, a fan of both camps. They produce world champions. But my father always said, and if you've been a fan of my channel for a long time, you'll know what I'm about to say here. He'd say, Johnny, bet with your wallet, not with your heart. I'm putting all my money on Diego Pacheco. I think Nelson's gonna be tough early.
This is our tale of the tape. Both of these men undefeated, and a real opportunity to turn some heads here tonight.
What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video, we're gonna be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning last night's fight between Diego Pacheco and Steven Nelson. Guys, before we continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. If you haven't already, could you please hit subscribe, like this video, as well as hit the notifications button. What that'll allow me to do is every time I put out something that's new, you'll be the first to be notified. Thank you. If you like staying up to date on the 24/7, 365 goings on of our favorite sport, be sure to check out my short section. I post 4 to 5 times on a daily basis to keep you guys up to date on our favorite sport. All right, guys, if you've already been a subscriber to the page, you would have watched my prediction video last week about Pacheco versus Nelson. I broke it down. We talked about the pros and cons of each fighter. And as you saw at the beginning of this video, I was right once again. Now, it wasn't that wild of a pick, but some people and a lot of people on the page were going for Nelson. And like I always say, my heart was with Nelson, but you got to bet with your wallet. And it pretty much went the way I thought it was going to go. I actually did not think that Nelson was going to have a chin like he did and does. Pacheco was hitting him with some bombs, and Nelson was eating all of them. He has a chin on him, and as well, he came in great shape. It's just a testament to his conditioning, his preparation, and what they're doing in Omaha, Nebraska. Diego Pacheco at 23 years old. The world is his oyster. I talked about it last night on our live feed. If I were his management team, I wouldn't rush him, considering all of the top dogs at 168. There are some savages in that division, and I feel I would give Pacheco a couple more fights before he starts swimming in that deep water, but he's already in the top 5 in the world, so this is boxing. As you keep winning, there really isn't anywhere else to go, and it is the best proving ground on seeing who's the top dog. I like what I saw out of both guys. I think after the fight, believe it or not, both fighters' stock went up. Pacheco throughout the fight, he started slow. This was a prediction of mine in the breakdown video. I felt that if Nelson was going to win, he was going to have to win and bank the early rounds, which I gave him 3 out of the 4. Pacheco was computing a lot of data. He was figuring his range out and didn't really have a high work rate. Neither guy did in rounds 1 through 4. If you had to break down the middle of the fight, I gave it all Pacheco to the mid rounds, and it looked like that the end was near. It looked like around rounds 8 or 9 that Nelson was ready to go. But kudos to him. He actually rallied after losing those middle rounds and won the 11th and 12th on my scorecards, and really was pressuring Pacheco the last 2 rounds and was putting it on him. So I feel at the end of the fight, a unanimous decision for sure. Both fighters are going to have some awesome takeaways to take back home into their camps and improve from there. Pacheco last night, I saw some great things. The interesting thing about Pacheco, as he gets older and matures into the fight game, I would like to see him use his range a little bit more. Last night, he really didn't establish the jab. What he did do well was his rear uppercut. I was loving the uppercut, as well as his lead hook. The lead hook kept finding a home, and I thought that was going to be the punch that was going to knock Nelson out. He battered him, he cut him early, he swelled his eye. Pacheco got pop and power. It's just Nelson is a dog. You got to hit him with a fire extinguisher to get him out of there. What we're going to do now is go over the statistics of the fight. We're going to break down the total punches thrown, the jabs and the power shots, and talk a little bit about the narrative. I also want you to stay tuned to the end of the video. I found some press conference footage of Bomac, Steven Nelson's trainer, talking about the job that Pacheco did in beating his fighter. It's not every day you see the opposite team's cornerman giving his opponent props and talking about all the good work that he did. It's just another testament to Bomac, the team at B&B Boxing, and what they're doing in Omaha. So that'll be at the end. But for now, let's take a closer look at those punch stats. Guys, when we look at the total jabs thrown throughout the fight, Pacheco throws 314, landing 58. Nelson throws 312, landing 38. Pacheco landed in a 19% clip. Nelson landed in a 12% clip. The issue for Nelson the entire fight, and this is going to be a lot of Pacheco's opponents, is how do you manage that range and distance? How do you cut the distance with a guy like Pacheco and get in on the inside? Because every time Nelson was fighting Pacheco on the outside, he was getting caught with Pacheco's power shots. And the last thing you want to be is at the end of a big puncher's shots. And Nelson just couldn't figure this out. He was working his tail off to get on the inside, but he was getting hit a lot to do so. And landing at a 12% rate on the jab range tells that entire story. Let's see how each fighter did on the power side. Guys, total power shots thrown. Pacheco throws 150 and lands 74 at close to a 50% clip. Nelson throws 248, but only landing 39 at a 16% clip. Guys, whenever you're fighting a taller, rangier fighter and he's landing close to 50% of his power shots on you, you're in for a long night. Just like the jabs at 12% for Nelson, the power shots were at 15%. He was throwing more, he just couldn't land, and it's that problem you have to figure out. Think about when fighters fight Seb Fundora. Pacheco isn't as tall as Fundora, but it's a similar strategy that in your fight camp you have to figure out. And I actually liked Nelson's game plan early on. He showed him a lot of feints, he was outworking Pacheco, and obviously the plan was to steal the early part of the fight, which he did. Now, Pacheco made great adjustments in the middle rounds and started settling in. And he is a traditional slow starter, but when he starts building momentum, you can see the end coming. This is why the 23-year-old's undefeated, and he's such a top prospect now, contender. Let's look at the overall total punches of the fight now. Throughout the fight, Pacheco throws 464 and lands 132 at a 28% clip. Nelson throws 560, but only landing 77 at a 14% clip. So once again, 14% on his total shots, 12% on his jabs. So once again, Nelson is under 15% on his total punches. He was at the same numbers on his jabs and power shots, and that's just not going to work. His work rate was there though, his grittiness was there, his heart and desire was there until the very end. And like I said, I gave Nelson the last 2 rounds, and the last 2 rounds were as exciting as any 2 rounds I've seen in a couple fights. So kudos to both guys. Pacheco, like I said, with the win, keeps the ball rolling, business as usual. He remains undefeated. He has a lot of guys calling him out now. And like I said, if I'm managing that kid's career, I'd be patient. He still hasn't filled that frame out yet. Who knows? We might see this guy before it's all said and done fight at light heavyweight or heavyweight. That's not out of the question at 168, being only 23 years old, standing at 6'3". So I like what I saw from him. He's gonna make some good adjustments. I like his power shots. The uppercuts were good. I want to see him use his range a bit more, and I want to see him use his jab a bit more. Maybe use the jab to set up the lead hook and throw some combos after that. But all in all, great performance from Pacheco. My hat goes off to Nelson. It was a fun and entertaining fight. I want you guys in the comment section now to let me know what you thought of the fight. Who were you going for? Were you upset with the decision? 3 judges gave Pacheco 117 to 111. Let me know that in the comment section. Who's next for Pacheco? Where does Nelson go from here? And before you guys leave and check out of this, I want you to hear what Bomac had to say about Diego Pacheco.
Make him uncomfortable because as we study, he's a really great fucking fighter. He fight great in the pocket. He's just trying to make him uncomfortable, pushing back on his heels. But I mean, we did what we could do as a team, as a fighter, and we tried our best.
What do you think? Do we do a good job, or?
You guys did fabulous.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Take my hat off to you. Also, my question: when he was, you rocked Steven a couple of times. What went through your head when you hit him with your best shot and he just kept fucking coming?
It was just to keep going, keep hitting them with some more of them. I wasn't going to stop or let up or let him get any type of rhythm going. You know, I just going to stick to the game plan and keep touching him. But Steven Nelson's a hell of a fighter, and my respect to him for sure.
You one hell of a fighter too, man. I didn't underestimate you. I didn't look you over.
And neither did I. I didn't underestimate you guys at all.
You did a fucking fabulous job.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's do it.
Diego, Stephen Coreno, Carolina Sportsman. Congratulations on the victory. Have you ever been interviewed by the opposing attorney?
Never.
We need more of that. We need more of that. I didn't know if that was a tricky question. I was like, what?
So I wanted to ask Stephen too. It looked like you guys were talking, and they're here and there. I see your lips moving. You kind of smile. He smile. What conversation were you guys having?
It was just, stuff that boxers do in the ring. Like sometimes I'd miss a shot, he'd be like, "Oh, you missed," or when he missed, I'd be like, "No," or like sometimes when I was throwing my jab, I see him trying to time me with the right hand, and I was like, "Nah, that's not gonna work." I see it, but it was just small talk in the ring, nothing crazy. It was a good fight. I hope the fans enjoyed it. Steven Nelson, a good fighter, but today was a DP show, and I showed you guys that I'm here to stay.